Hello, this is Chrystal Meach with Tao of the Heart, and today I have Lisa Ciccoli with me from Insight&Harmony. And I'm going to just dive in like I always do and ask her how she got started with Insight&Harmony.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me here. It's wonderful to meet you, and hello to your listeners. And so I started Insight&Harmony probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and it is an ever evolving thing. Um, but really, what I wanted to do was create a space and a place for myself and others to come together and really dig into who they truly are. We think we know who we are, but do we?
And we don't
So,
have time to go in a cave and
yeah,
just meditate, right?
yes, exactly. So I have exactly. So I have found, in my years of, training and learning and doing all the things that I've done, that it really helps to have someone who's an outside person say hello to you with a neutral perspective and with the intention of healing, right? So my whole focus is, how can we heal, learn, and grow, and laugh together?
Yeah.
Because that is really, really important.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, so my whole training started back when in my 20s, when I was a wee one, I'll call myself, and I met a woman who was a Native American shaman, and so yeah, a friend of mine said you should get a reading, and I was like, okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was great. And so I met her, had a wonderful reading, and then she had a year-long training class, and so I did that with her. And then, at the end, you do a vision quest, and then you're sort of like, you either make the choice of continuing on with your shamanic studies, or you go wherever you want to go.
Wait a second.
So,
Can you slow down? What is
yeah.
what is a vision quest?
Oh, I just assume everybody knows this stuff. Okay. Great question.
Mhm.
So, after a year long training, this is her method. I'm sure it's similar to others, but you basically go into the woods. So, okay, it sounds like crazy, but there was 4 of us together in this training class. So we all, and my teacher, went into the beautiful woods of Pennsylvania. That's where I'm from originally. I couldn't even tell you where I was. I can't remember, but it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And we all had there was a center camp. And then when the vision quest started, we all had to go out from the center camp to our own spaces in the woods, right? So we were there by ourselves. We had a tent, we had water, sleeping bag, so it wasn't like I was out in the elements with nothing. So it was 4 days of basically meditation, contemplation. Well, it's kind of my cave moment, really. Um, and so it was 4 days out there. All you had was water. That was hard. I kept dreaming of sugar corn pops the whole time.
That's
Really
awesome.
just want sugar corn pop. But in between those moments. um,
Mhm.
so the whole purpose is for you to really go deep within yourself and find answers. That's really the purpose of the whole thing, is to really, find your answers, your next step. And it's sort of a rite of passage in a way of like, you've completed your training. Now you go through and find your answers and then decide what you're going to do after that. So my experience was very much all about facing fear. It was so scary for me to be out there, and it was an emotional roller coaster. It was like scary, and then it was like mad, and then I was sad, and then
Yeah.
it was like all the was coming out. But there were these most beautiful moments of, just wildlife. Like a porcupine just walked through my camp. I was like, what? There was this little babbling brook, really close to where I was. And so the thing I took away from it was a couple things. One, I'm a hell of a lot stronger than I thought I was. 2, when I broke my fast, so my teacher would come see us like all of us. She came to see us once a day, to check in. And when on the last day we broke fast together or broke my fast together, and we said hello to Mother Earth, and oh my gosh, I felt like she gave me the biggest hug in the oh, it was just so amazing. It was amazing. So I realized in that moment, like, how powerful Mother Earth is and how much she's holding space for us, all of us, to learn and grow, and giving us the space to find our answers. And that was a revelation to me, really. That was like, wow.
Mhm.
So that was really amazing. Um, yeah, so it was a really profound experience for me. And it was a deciding point that, I didn't want to continue on with my Native American studies, but it was such a gift to have gone through that and done that. And then, then I wandered off to California and went on another adventure.
So your answer was to go to California?
Well, not right away. Not right
Okay.
away. No, my answer was, I have to figure out what my next answer is. I don't really know what it is at the time. But all I knew was that I just needed to get out of Pennsylvania and try something different. My husband and I were born and raised there, and we just really wanted another experience someplace else. So, and then California showed up with a job. I transferred with a job, and that's how I got here. And then I found a wonderful intuitive training center called Intuitive Way, and that's where I really started to hone the skills that I use in Insight and Harmony. I do use what I learned in my shamanic studies, but I really, the key skills that I use in my healing and energy readings and meditation practice and leading people through meditation, that's where I learned all the things that I do now with Insight and Harmony. So yeah, it's a great place. So one of the lessons I learned in my shamanic training this was such a great moment. We use ceremony. With ceremony, you basically, this is my interpretation. In shamanic tradition, you use a ceremony to create a sacred space for people to be in, right? So energetically, this is a sacred space. And then there's usually a theme or a purpose for the circle. And in one of them, we had to set an intention. So I was like, from my heart, I was like, so earnestly, I was like, I just want to know who I really am, like that. And I felt like the world just stopped. Like, I was like, oh God, what did I do? In that moment. And really that was the cathartic moment that sort of set the trajectory of my life from that moment to now, and it's on, like, I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
So, and that's what my intuitive studies really helped me clear out, because there are so many voices in my head, right? Like, I know that sounds crazy, but thoughts, I should say. I call them voices, but they're really thoughts, right? There's so many flying around. Like, which ones are mine and which ones are not mine? That was my question. And this training really, really helped. So, hone in on, like, okay, what is yours? What is not yours? What, and that's what I help people do, is to really help them hear their own voice in their head. Like, if I work with someone and at the end they don't need me anymore, then I'm like, I'm successful. Right? Then I'm like, win.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you feel like every person that you meet, there's like a lesson in that?
Oh,
Or
absolutely. For myself?
yeah.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. I learn every single time I do a reading, every time I lead a meditation, every single time. And that's really, I mean, secretly, I actually do it for myself.
Yeah.
Because it's, there's something that I really need to see. And I had this wonderful tarot reading from a wonderful friend of mine that I met in my tutor training class. And it was so wonderful about blind spots. It was all about blind spots. We all have them, right?
Yeah.
We just don't see it. And I really feel like the people that I work with help me see my blind spots where I can't see it. which is such a blessing. And I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah. So who is the healer? Is it them or
Mm. Them. Yes, great question. Love that question. I still remember this. I was shopping at Target, and it's a side story, but I think it's funny. And there's this like really heavy piece of furniture if you wanted to buy it. So they had this little sticker next to the price tag that said "Team Lift." Right? You need 2 people to lift this thing. And I was like, oh yes, that's it. That's what I do. Like, I'm here to help you lift it. Like, I'm not doing it for you. Like, I'm just the person on the other end of the big giant block of energy that's helping you move it. And it's all about focusing your attention and awareness. Really, that's the key. And so I can help someone see it, right? So it's like as they're helping me see my blind spots, I'm helping them see their blind spots. But the actual shift, like I could sit here and tell you your blind spots all day long, but if you don't want to get rid of them, they're not going to go anywhere. The energy will still be there. Mm-hmm. But if you have you as the healee have the intention to move it and change it and heal it, it will go. No matter what I do, I could stand over here and dance all day and go, it's right here, it's right here. So my job is really a guide and a facilitator. It's like coaching. It's kind of like what you do. It's talking through or showing energetically. Like I love working on a spirit to spirit level. So we're all in this physical body, but we are more than that, right? We have this spiritual element to ourselves, and that's where I love to work, in that realm and that zone and that area of communication, because I think you can really move and change and shift quickly, and the profound leaps you can take in learning are amazing. I mean, I could just speak for myself. It's really a great place to heal from.
Wow. So I'm just thinking of like one of the modalities of healing, because I know I was getting your emails and you talked about sound healing. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that is a relatively new but not modality that I've introduced into my practice. And I actually my background in school was art, right? So I'm a trained artist. You would say I have my degrees in art, But before that, I thought I was going to go to school for music. I took piano lessons for 11 years. Like I was into it, like I was going to do it. And I went to interview at a college, and they're like, oh yeah, you have to practice like 8 hours a day. And I'm like, I'm good. No, I don't want to do that. So then I shifted to art and everything. But music has always been a really important part of my life. And when I left it behind, it was really kind of sad, right? I was like, oh man, I'm leaving this like thing that I love to do behind. I'm not doing it anymore. Oh well. And then I just chugged on. But now now it's come back. Now I'm like, oh wow, I can use sound, music, tonality in a way that's totally different. And I would never have thought of this in when I was doing all my music work. Never would have thought of it. But now that I've done all the training that I've done, I realized what a powerful, because it was really powerful for me as a kid learning how to play the piano. It was such a wonderful release of emotion. Like I could like pound on that piano like when I was mad, or I could play it really sad, or you know what I mean. It was a wonderful tool for me to really express emotion and release out of my space. And so now I work with I do a free monthly sound healing, which is online. And so I use music. Excuse me. I don't play the music, right? I use composers that I love that have just meditation music, and they use binaural beats in the background, which I don't know if everyone's familiar with it, but it's certain frequencies. There's 4 of them, and I can never remember them all. There's alpha, beta, delta, and another one. See, I always forget one. And they're actually, sometimes I can hear them. They're kind of like a boom, 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 boom sound in the back, but they have a frequency to it, a rhythm to it that's in the background of the music that really helps your brain shift out of like thought into a deeper space where you can sort of, I always sort of saying it's like a stepping down, like, because when you're in your when you're in your thinking mind, it's so busy. It's like blah, 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 all the time. And if you can step down out of that, there's a quieter mind under that. And that's what I found music really and sound really helps you do that shift out there. And that when you're in that space, you're much freer to find your answers, to really look within yourself, to kind of check in and see where you are, or, you know, set an intention. Sorry. Set an intention for what you want in your life. So I love it. It's been great. I've been doing it for about 6 months now, the free monthly sound circle. And it's only half an hour, you know, it's nothing huge, but you know, time wise, but I feel like you can do so much in a short amount of time. Right. So we all meet together. We say, hi, there's a theme for the thing. So, cause I have found, cause I have a very active mind, if you give your mind something to do, it helps, you know, really helps in the meditation process. So this month's theme is all about healing with joy. And because I've always been in the, you know, I got to fix it. There's energy, it's got to move. I got to fix it. I got to heal it. I got to, you know. And then recently I've been getting the message through my, you know, readings and the studyings that I'm doing is like, you could just let something else do it for you. How about we start with joy?
Oh.
I was like, okay. I'll do that. Yes.
I guess I gotta go.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try that now.
Oh man.
So I just sort of walk people through a guided meditation for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then I just let people sit in their space. And I do set the space. Like what I was talking about, what I learned in my shamanic studies is an energetic space is really important for people to be able to feel safe, you know, go where they want to go. Because I'll use an example, like if you're sitting in the middle of Times Square and there's so much energy and everything's running around, it's like absolute chaos. Like it's really hard to get in touch with your deeper self.
Yeah.
But if you're in a quiet place, and what I do is I like to see things in like bubbles, right? So it's a beautiful bubble around the energetic space where all of us are sharing. And then I set the tone as like, it's a healing vibration. It's safe. It's, you know, fun. I always love fun. You know, it's fun to be there. You know, it's enjoyment. And that's important. Like, and it's even important for people in their own meditation practices. Just take a couple of moments to say, okay, when I sit and meditate or take a quiet moment, like I want that space to feel whatever, peaceful, loving, expansive, you know, and that really makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, got a lot of editing to do here.
I can certainly speak to that because I clean homes.
Yeah.
And so it's all about making their house peaceful and setting that intention. But for me, the meditation, I have like a ritual, I guess I would say, when I start. Like, first of all, I use music, but it's got to be like I do like gongs. And they have to be, there's this one guy on YouTube, I think it's called Temple Sounds. And I just pick one of his, and it's so I start by grounding. So I see like roots coming out of my body and going to the ground. And then the second time, then I think of the leaves. So each thought that comes in my head, I put it on the leaf and I watch it fall to the ground. And then the meditation starts. But sometimes there's so many thoughts up there that it might be like a half hour before I get to that space.
Yeah.
all on the
Mm-hmm.
ground.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. You're absolutely 100% right. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's easy and you sort of step into that like beautiful quiet space, and sometimes it is not easy.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's fine. It's totally fine. And there's no right way, to do this. So,
Yeah.
for sure. Hmm.
So
I know.
since you,
I love actually you shared the gong link with me. That he's great.
yeah,
Really amazing um sound healer. Yeah, it was good.
yeah. So let's dive more into, you have a podcast.
Yes, yes. I do have a podcast with my co-host Cindy. It's called Into the Known, and it's on all the normal places: Apple, Spotify, Google. And it's so funny because we met at the intuitive training place, and I don't know, we were just talking, and I said, "Hi, I'm thinking about recording some meditations and maybe doing a podcast." She's like, "Me too."
Awesome.
And then we met and we talked about it. And we're like, yeah, let's just do it and see what happens. So we just finished our fourth season.
Wow.
Yeah, really great. And we do about 13 episodes and we take a little break and then we'll do 13 more. And it really is all about helping people find the known within them. Really is what is our whole focus. And also to sort of shine light on and talk about topics that maybe aren't really talked about. Like we talk about, psychic skills and intuitive skill sets, and we talk about what else do we talk about? We talked about female empowerment from an energetic perspective. We try to talk things in energetic perspectives. In the terms of like how energy moves and works, and if when there's blocks, things like this show up. And we try to give solutions and ideas, not really solutions, but they're ideas of what to try to shift and change and find deeper ways of getting into yourself. But it's been really fun. Actually, my favorite part is the interviews, which I hope we will have you on because it will be
Oh,
really great to have you.
that would be
Um,
exciting.
yeah. So my shamanic teacher, actually, we interviewed her, which was so great. So you'll have to check it out if you want to know more about my shamanic adventures. And we've also had some people that we met through the Intuitive Center come in. This woman, Amy, who's an incredible teacher about intuition and knowingness. She's really a wonderful, wonderful teacher. And yeah, so there's a lot. There's a lot in there. My wonderful cousin Tracy, who I love dearly, is she's listening backwards, which I absolutely love.
Oh,
So she's listening with the most, and then she's going back, going back, going back, going back. And so she writes me, she's like, oh, this episode. I was like, I totally forgot we did that.
I love that.
Thank you for reminding me. That was a good one. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
and actually, Cindy actually does very similar work to that I do, but slightly differently. But she uses the podcast actually when her clients have questions about a certain topic, and if we've covered it, like she'll say, hey, take a listen, this will give you some more information about it, which actually I never thought of using, so now I'm going to do that.
okay. That's awesome. I mean, what is your most profound interview that you've had?
Oh, that's a tough one because they're all so good. I think for me, I think it was probably my interview with my shamanic teacher, because we hadn't talked in years. We've just sort of, like, she's in Pennsylvania, I'm here, kind of doing our own thing. But it was really wonderful to revisit that and to remember what we did together. Because it was the same thing. Like, she didn't do it for me, right? She just set the space, gave us the tools, and said, here you go, and let us learn. So it was really wonderful revisiting that and to see how much she's changed too, because it's really lovely to see, because the way I was raised, I was raised in a very strict Catholic family. There's tradition is really important, right? Like not changing things is really
Mhm.
important, right? Like there's these rules and there's this dogma and this is the way it is and that's it. And so I always had this mindset of like teachers are just, once they know their stuff, that's where they're at, right? That's it. But that's not true. Actually,
Yeah.
a really wonderful teacher is someone who continues to learn and grow as well. And so it was so wonderful to see her and how much she's learning. And she said the same thing about me. We're like, wow, we're the same but different.
Sure.
So that was really great. It really spoke to my heart. That was a great one.
Which season is that one in?
That one is it this season? It's either 3 or 4. Yeah, it's relatively new.
Okay.
I think it's this season actually. I think it's 4.
Yeah, we'll put your podcast in the description box so people can check it out.
Oh, great. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
let's see, what else do I want to ask you? Have you ever thought about going back to do work with that shaman?
I have. I actually have been revisiting the tools that I've learned when I studied with her and trying to shift them a little bit in the way I see them, not like change them, but shifting. So there was, when you set a circle or a ritual space, you call in the directions, right? So you call in the north, or the south, the west, the north, the east, Mother Earth, Father Sky, and Spirit within, and that sets the space. And I always loved that. Like I loved that part of it. I thought it was just really great. But there was something missing to it when I did it, like just didn't, like it was wonderful and I loved it and it was great, but I'm like, there's something missing, something missing. And in the last couple of years, I've really been focusing on I work a lot in the women's space, right? So female energy and, being a spirit in a female body. I love working with women and helping them shift and change and learning from them. And I always felt like everything I learned was very male in my shamanic studies. Like it's just very male vibration. And I was like, it's not quite what I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm starting to find a way to be able to use that skill and that intention to set a space, but use it with more of a female vibration in it. And I'm just starting to get to that place of being able to do that and learn, figure that out. And so I think that will become part of my offering, especially I'd really love to do in-person sound circles together, and that will be part of it for sure. But I'm not quite there yet.
One thing at a time, right?
That's right. One thing at a time.
It's interesting that you say that because I know with my own, like, I grew up too where it's kind of like the masculine, how do I describe it? You just, there's a very conceptual understanding. You see things very literally.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this other side that, maybe I think that's kind of what culture is working with right now is understanding the feminine and
Yeah,
and
for sure.
when you even open your eyes to that, you're kind of like, what is it like?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then you realize that maybe you weren't accepting of it in your life, and then start to see it and the value in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking of like you were saying, Mother Earth, like sitting in the woods, and
Mm-hmm.
how it's already there. It's just a matter of you being able to see it and
Right.
being open to see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And all the patterns that are trying to lead you there, but you can't really there's that block of why is this showing up the way it is? And
Mm-hmm.
how do I get around this?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, I mean, I'm right there with you. Like
Mm-hmm.
in all the studies of the feminine and going back and looking at the history of feminine or what the interpretation of that is interesting too, because is it really from a perspective of the female?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean it's all fascinating to me, and
Yeah.
as the journey goes, like I said, you got to get on the train, and then you're on quite a
Mm-hmm.
ride once you get
Yeah.
on it.
It's very true. Very true. There have been moments where I'm like, what was I thinking? And then I'm like, oh no, I'm good. I'm good. And then and then you're like, it's like you're going down in the crazy ravine. You're like, what am I doing? And then you get on the other side. And you're like, oh, okay, now I know what I'm doing.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, that's what I wanted. All right, right.
Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah, but I really feel like our last episode we just released actually on Tuesday was all about female empowerment, and I took this wonderful trip to visit my good friend in New Mexico, and everyone I met, they were mostly women, and it was this incredible energy around women really stepping into a life that they're creating on their own. It's either people who, are widowed or divorced or, starting over, or, young women that don't, that are just doing their own thing. And it was so wonderful. It was so inspirational for me to see all of that. And it really helped me go, yes, this is happening. Like, this is happening. The shifts and changes are really wonderful to see. And I really like what you said about the stories told about women. What perspective are they coming from? Is it a male describing a female story, right? In a way that doesn't bring forward the true intention of what the feminine's trying to do? Or is it really true, truly from a feminine voice? And I feel like there are men that know, like, see it and know it. They can just, they're more in touch with it than others. And there's some that are just completely blocked up from it. Like, no, like that doesn't know. You're not looking at that. That doesn't exist. And, I did a reading with some people on Wednesday, and it was a similar kind of thing. It was this woman who had a story about her life, right? The story she told herself about her life was not from a perspective of her own. It was from her dad, right? Like her dad's description of her, because through invalidation and, judgment and all that kind of stuff. And she took that in and said, well, my life is this because what she thought was her own wasn't really her own. It was her dad's story about her. So I feel like these are the things as women that we're starting to really see, where's the story about me coming from? Who's, I always call it programming. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
like our brains are programmed by things that we've learned as we, grow up. And, it's been very male dominated, at least in my whole, most of my existence, well, it still is now. But really, when you can take a step back and step out of it and go, wait a minute, where is this coming from? Is this really my story or not my story? And when you can do that, that's when the shifts start happening. Like,
Yeah, because you start asking, who am I?
Right. Right. Exactly. And how do I see myself? And,
How am I creating?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And that's been a big lesson for me this year is, what are you creating and who are you creating it for?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of what I create really is for other people. I'm taking this wonderful course right now. It's called Your Year in Miracles. And it talks a lot about your soul's purpose. And I love the way that's worded, like, what is your soul's purpose, right? Not your mind's purpose, like what you think you should do. Like, what is your soul's purpose? And that ties back to like, that my question of like, who am I really?
Yeah.
It's all interwoven. And the journey of discovery of what that is so important. What is your soul? I feel like there's so much unhappiness and stress and strife in this world because we don't know what our soul's purpose is. Like, we're just doing what we think we should do without
Yes.
knowing what we
Hmm.
really, really want to do, here.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you mentioned that because in this last week I have been in conversation with some CFOs that are like S&P 500,
Mm-hmm.
like, millions, billions of dollars they're handling. And they talked about, because I've been an accountant for 18 years before this,
Mm-hmm.
and they talked about how the education system is so drained down that people, I mean, they're like a shell of their abilities and their potential. And, like you talk about the unhappiness in the workplace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't even go in a corporation today and say, hey, I like your tie. I mean, without being sued or someone
Right.
saying so I think it's interesting how the feminine, like we need the women to step up
Right.
and really take that train ride,
Mm-hmm.
because just because it's an overwhelm and because you have to get a job and everything. Yeah, you do have to get a job to survive, but at the same time you have to understand how you're creating.
Mm-hmm.
And coming back into that trust of Mother Nature.
Yeah.
And people are so disconnected from that.
Right.
And so the modalities that you offer, such as just even the sound healing, the um, the intuitive guidance, etc., that's so important to have that reflection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Thank you. Thank you for recognizing that. Thank you.
I think we can end it there, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's fine. That works. I like that's a good mic drop.
yeah. I would love to have you on again.
Yeah,
Um,
I would love to be back. It would be
yeah,
wonderful.
we'll think of maybe something. We'll dive into another modality next time.
Yeah.
I'd love to do
Yeah,
that.
that sounds great. Perfect. Let's do it. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Well, this is Chrystal Meach with Tao of the Heart. Thank you, Lisa Ciccoli,
Thank
for
you.
being on with me today. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.